Sutton and Boyd don't agree on much, but they've came together, everybody, and agreed that Celtic Football Club need to put their hands in their pockets. Welcome back to Fog Football. To be fair, I feel like we've said that quite a lot in recent months that they don't agree on much, but you know what? It's hard to disagree with things that's going on in Scottish football. Rangers have been doing a hole, Celtic have been doing pretty well since the start of the season, so I mean, what could they really disagree on? There's not been many contagious decisions. They'll probably be disagreeing with each other all next week. As for here, right now, we'll look at the quotes and we'll break it down. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready for it.
He's ready for that. So Sutton said, and I quote, regarding Matt O'Reilly, he was Celtic's best player last season. They can't replace him essentially. It's going to be a really interesting week. What happens in this next 7 days, I don't think they just need one body in. They need multiple bodies. Replacing Matt O'Reilly is nigh on impossible. Bernardo will get the chance this afternoon to show what he can do. He had a little cameo last season and came in on that sort of higher up on the left side of midfield and performed well. But he will get his chance now on a consistent basis. I suspect it is an area that Brendan, he talks about the need for more quality. Not just to compete at this domestic level, but Champions League level. Celtic will need more quality in the building. I think Celtic are light in the midfield area and other areas of the team. I look at left back, centre half, and maybe Brendan will want another centre forward in as well. Celtic have got a lot of work to do in the next week to sort of appease the situation. O'Reilly's enormous loss. To lose him this late is a problem for Celtic, end of quote. So that's what Sutton said. Let's look at Bernardo for a second. Didn't really impress me against St Mirren. I mean, Celtic were really good, but I think Paulo Bernardo's the sort of guy that'll just kind of get lost in the pack, but he'll be alright.
I don't think Bernardo's a bad Celtic player. I do think he's a bad signing for, 6.5 million?
No, they got him for really cheap, 3 million.
Is it not, I know, but the add-ons and shit, and is there not is the selling fee not, is it not crazy? Is it not like 30%?
I don't think there's any add-ons, but yeah, you might be right about the sell-on fee. They managed to get it down. Here, I think he's a good player, Paulo Bernardo, but he's not Matt O'Reilly. He's just nowhere near Matt O'Reilly. It is what it is. There's not much really you can say about him. He's alright.
Well, yeah, but when they brought him in, you knew he was coming in and he wasn't good enough to start. Now, he might be good enough now with O'Reilly gone.
Well, he'll have to be.
But you knew when they brought him in with the squad that Celtic have, he's not... You can't make a case. I don't think anyone can turn around and go, Bernardo is more deserving of starting ahead of McGregor, Hatate or O'Reilly. I just don't think there's anyone out there that can say that. Is he fourth out of the squad before O'Reilly went? Probably.
Which puts him in third spot.
But then again, a lot of people liked Iwata last year. If you put Iwata in there, can Callum McGregor play further forward and be more effective? Potentially.
Well, he's been effective this season. As for Bernardo, right, the players that Celtic are being linked with, they're Matt O'Reilly replacements.
Yeah, plus...
They're not here. They're going to play second fiddle to Bernardo, or not Bernardo.
Yeah,
Silva.
plus Bernardo was signed before O'Reilly actually left. I don't think Bernardo is the O'Reilly replacement. And I tell you what, if he is, I do believe that is pretty poor for Celtic. But I think Celtic will actually go and sign a proper Bernardo, a proper O'Reilly replacement. We've heard that they're interested in that Polish guy playing in America worth £8 million. And I think that's the kind of signing that would make Celtic fans happy. I know they were, confronting Peter Loyal today, and Celtic aren't going to go out and spend like for like. They ain't going to go and pay 25 million to get someone to replace O'Reilly. But if Celtic go out and they spend similar to what their highest, we've seen them in the past spend like 7 million on Yota, Carter Vickers, they just spent 9.5, was it, on Adair. If they go and spend somewhere around that on a midfielder that's been brought in to replace O'Reilly, I think they'd be more. I think the Celtic fans would be happy enough with that. I'd have to assume so anyway.
Yeah, I think they will be. But left back is an area they want. It broke at 8 o'clock tonight that they are set to sign Barcelona left back Alex Telles. I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, but yeah, a Barcelona left back on loan. It's not the worst option to have. Did Peter Lowell listen? Potentially, but will he start over Greg Taylor? That is the $1 million question at the end of the day, and I'm not too sure. I think Greg Taylor's got a lot of unnecessary slander. I think the same with Liam Scales, honestly. I think Liam Scales has done really well. The Celtic past season a bit.
I still think if you want to go to the next level, you should be looking to...
No, you should be, but I mean, honestly, you look at the Champions League last year, we watched most of the games. I don't really think you can fault Liam Scales with most of the goals that Celtic conceded. Not that I can remember all 20 of them, but anyway, let's see what Boyd said. As for Sutton here, will they get another centre back? I don't think they will. I think they'll bring in a midfielder. They'll probably bring in another winger, and I think they'll get that guy at left back. I don't see another centre back being brought in. Do you?
No, probably not.
Because I just don't think Celtic are going to view it as a position that they desperately need. But then,
although
they've sold Kobayashi.
I mean, if I was Celtic, I think I would prefer, if you could only offer, if you had, let's say, 6-7 million to spend, and it was either on a centre back or a left back, I'd probably take the centre back. I would feel more confident with Greg Taylor in the Champions League than I would Liam Scales. And I know he's done well, and I praised him on the channel, but I think Greg Taylor's just not really liked because his name's Greg Taylor and he's Scottish, and
same with Scales.
People do kind of believe that, that you can just naturally do better. I think Greg Taylor has shown more consistency at Celtic, and I think he's shown for a longer period at Celtic that he can perform at a higher level. There's a lot of times we watch Greg Taylor and go, hey, he was great.
Yeah.
So for me, if you could replace Taylor or Scales, only one of them, with like a new signing, a £6-7 million signing, I'd rather, if I was a Celtic fan, go with the centre back.
Speaking of
Do you disagree?
I'd probably go with the centre back area as well. Get someone beside Carter Vickers, but there's people that think that Carter Vickers need replacement. I think that's ridiculous anyway. Let's hear a non-Celtic fan's opinion. Kris Boyd, this is what he said, and I quote, 100% Celtic fans have been very vocal. They want the money spent. They brought in Adam Adair, but they want more, and rightfully so. You're losing your best players. He will be a huge miss, Matt O'Reilly. When you take the transfer fee and what you bought him for, not only is that a great transfer fee, you need to be exceptional. And that is exactly what he's been since he arrived in Scottish football. You get that kind of feeling that under Ange, he was simmering away and there was something there. But I have to say, since Rodgers has taken over, Matt O'Reilly's game has gone to a different level as well. The goals and the assists, wherever there's been little tweaks in style of play, Celtic will get that money in and the fans will demand they go and spend it, end of quote. And you know what? You've got to agree with Boyd there. See, for large parts of last season, we were like, who is Brendan Rodgers honestly improved? Everyone's got worse since Ange left, apart from Matt O'Reilly. And he's skyrocketed. It's the truth. I mean, Kyogo's had a really poor start to the season, in my opinion. No goals. I mean, he looked really good in pre-season. Really, a pretty underwhelming season last year for him, even though he did sink Rangers on about 10 occasions. But I think Kyogo went a wee bit downhill under Rodgers. And Rodgers admitted that himself.
Yeah, it could be the style, not getting the best out of him. Maybe then we've seen Adair start today. Maybe Kyogo's not in Rodgers' plans to be the number one.
He might not be, but I mean, I think Celtic have got to accept a £20 million bid if City do bid that, man.
Of course.
29, you're not going to get many more years out of Kyogo in terms of it as peak. And I've said it before, they can lose O'Reilly, they can lose Kyogo, and I still think there's a real good opportunity that they can win the league. And but yeah, will Celtic spend it? Let's put a figure out there. How much money will Celtic spend between now and Friday? I'm going to say 12 million.
Many players do you think that's on too?
3, but the loan, I can't really factor a loan fee in.
Yeah, I think that's probably a rough estimate. I think that I'd be shocked if they spend much more than that. Maybe.
Put it this way, right? Celtic will not strengthen their team between now and Friday. They can't. To replace Matt O'Reilly, it's nigh on impossible. It is.
I think the only way Celtic spend more than what you just stated there is if another player goes.
Yeah.
Like a Hatate goes or a Kyogo goes, and then, maybe then with that extra money, they would spend to replace. But I think that we'll probably see an attacking midfielder come in at Celtic, and then, possibly a defender, centre-back or left-back. I don't know if we'll see both.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to this final week of transfers. Rangers, of course, need to do business. Celtic need to do business. It shouldn't be quiet. There should be more sales.
I wonder what would make Celtic fans happy. If they brought like an attacking mid, a centre back, and a left back in, averaging maybe 7 million each. If they spent 21 million between now and the end of the window, would that please them? Would that be enough to get them to stop attacking and confronting Peter Lawler?
We'll have to wait and see. But here, we don't know how long this Matt O'Reilly transfer is going to carry out. He flew down an EasyJet on Saturday, but you'll say that transfer drags out to Tuesday, Wednesday. That's going to affect Celtic's time in terms of getting a deal done.
Definitely.
And there could be a few wee panic buys in there. But anyway, leave your thoughts down below. We'll be back very soon. Till then though, peace.